Should poetry be limited to a place, a language, or a region? Uh, we have the verse warriors from across the land: Arjun Rajendran, Aswin Vijayan, Sekhar Banerjee, and Sufia Khatoon to enchant us with their poetry. Here we go.
We'll go straight to the session, Verse Warriors. We'll start the session with Arjun.
Are you sure, sir? You want to start with me? Okay. Okay. Guys, let me just light up. Oh, sorry, no non-smoking zone. Okay. Thank you all again for being here, and thanks to the Bangalore Poetry Festival for, it's an honor to be among these splendid poets. And okay, I am going to. I lost my mother recently, so this is a poem that's for her. It is about her, so it's called Prodigy. You can't watch me though, I told her, then emerged from the room after 5 minutes looking triumphant, pocketing her money immediately. She didn't care she lost the bet. She was proud her son was a prodigy and never figured it out herself. That all I did was peel and rearrange stickers on the Rubik's Cube. Who am I now? Just a couple of decades piled upon a charlatan. Someone who withdraws into himself for hours to peel away anything that can be disguised as language.
Thank you, Arjun. Now it's Ashin's turn.
Thank you, sir. And once again, as everyone else said, thank you to Bangalore Poetry Festival and especially to the audience who are here to listen to us. Since the session is titled Verse Warriors, and I believe in my way of, I don't see myself as a warrior or somebody who fights for social justice publicly, or even in my poetry, but I think the best way you can do something with verse, what verse do is record, observe and record, and I hope that my poems does that. And the first poem I would like to read today is called Padinyarathara, and it is about a town that was submerged as a result of a hydroelectric power plant. Here I go. Padinyarathara. Here, this is our Atlantis, the boy did not say. He spoke with a certain lilt in his voice, with the slant of someone on whose tongue the tongue doesn't rest easy. We were on top of the small hillock on which the resort had just come up, and the slope ran straight into Karlad Lake. There we were, looking out at another body of water. This was no Atlantis, but a trolley problem. 10 houses drowned for the sake of 20,000 families irrigated and many more electrified. This little part of town underwater, rusting. And the dam, named after Bana, son of Bali, swallowed up the whole region, sinking walls, roofs, gardens, trees, and fences as they stood. The birds saw the floodwater rushing, anticipating a landslide 20 years ahead, and flew to nearby hills. A few hills away, I sat reading a book as a kite failed to fly over my head, and a leech hung from the inside of my left foot, drinking blood. I waited till it had its fill and eventually fell away. The sun sank, and the coast town of Padinyarathara sprang to life, silent and underwater. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashin. It's my turn. I'm Sekhar. Family. I'll read poems from my book, The Font Kadaras Association. We were never allowed to enter every room, yes. Some rooms were always locked, yes. Some had been bolted from inside, like our blocked minds, yes. Everybody would say, all the rooms are yours. Yes, yes. But why some rooms are closed? No, no. We couldn't ask that then, though. And the doormats had different shapes and colors, some like stars, some sickles, some squares, some hammers. And I once found a moon, yes, near our grandmother's room. She was an ancient Erica grove which had lost its roots. By the season we grew, day by day, inch by inch, before, oh no, we finally branched out. She took her pan leaves, supari, slacked lime, and a small brush nut cutter, even into her sleep, and woke up in the middle of night to see if everything functioned suitably. Yes, in every room in the house, her peanut-crowded leaves, flowers, bugs, and dry nuts. Sun perforated us every day with a warm needle and O faces for all of us, blue, white, green, and pink and maroon. Oh yes, the rooms already knew who was entitled to enter which room. Yes, yes. And the smell of each room was different. Yes, like the continents, yes, into which we are about to branch out. Thank you. Now it's Sufia's turn.
Adab, I hope you're having an amazing day. So there are two kinds of wars we actually fight. War with our immediate society and the war with oneself. Most of my poems is about that. My neighbor's burnt house. मेरा घर जल रहा है. मेरा घर जल रहा है, उनका घर जल रहा है, न जाने और कितने कितनों का घर जल रहा है. मेरा घर जल रहा है, उनका घर जल रहा है, न जाने और कितने कितनों का घर जल रहा है. इस जलने और जलाने की तलब में, इस जलने और जलाने की तलब में, इनके और उनके दिल्ली रंजिशों में मेरा घर, मेरा मुल्क, मेरा जहान जल रहा है. Fajr azan bellowed, Allahu Akbar, brought the flavored sounds of the fire wagon, cutting through the smog. The neighbor's house was burning, while time engulfed its fragments of dolls, playdates, and war machines. I woke up with my hands cupping my chest, falling and rising, falling and rising, struggling, exasperated. Today,
Now it's again Arjun.
Thank you, Sekhar. And Sufia, that was brilliant. All right, so my latest book, One Man, Two Executions, the middle section is called, better? Okay. The middle section is called The Girl in the Pea Pod, and I think it's a pretty lame section actually, but it was, yeah, I was dating somebody for a while, and then that person found out that the husband was better after 9 months. But Basudhara apparently likes this section, and she specifically asked me to read a poem from this section, so Basudhara, this is for you. Off an alien moon. Twilight already. The geese follow you to a bridge where lovers commit suicide for some time. You know I wait for you yesterday, today, tomorrow. that you might bend my ear and whisper names and temperaments of all shooting stars that have outnumbered your counting fingers. It's already late, even if most of your basket contains mushrooms that have rained. My bite on your neck is ready to hibernate. I wait for you at the corner of a nest with eggs sheltering our twins. Under planetary rings, our lips are trapped in a mammalian dream. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun. What a beautiful poem. Aswin's turn now.
This is a slightly longer poem, that's why I prefer to read it from the podium. And this continues with what I just mentioned as an introduction to the earlier poem, kind of observing, and you might probably catch certain things that we have experienced that kind of came into this poem that I was writing. The poem is called Oracle, and it has an epigraph. When the gods go fishing, they catch a world serpent, never an eel. 9:22. Soft chime of a distant bell is home twice. One carried discreetly across oceans and the other with low blue walls. Home is no man's burden. I speak out of turn, out of tongue, dig through shallow streams into histories I have forgotten. Giants of different ilk are my kin. Khadolkajan and Goliath fight to keep a piece of the scrambled mind. They call me prophet. I speak of beginnings. The world was chaos. The sun, the moon, and the stars still searching for their course. Long ago, Father taught me a valuable lesson in judgment. Heat scalds, fits of temper too. I can remember when I went to the sea, but when I did, a pair of trees sprouted from washed up coconuts. It was by that sea an old woman foretold your future. She failed to mention I wouldn't be in it. Even the Mayans, with their predictions of the year of doom, couldn't have foreseen this, the year of Zoom, calls at the oddest hours. After all, it's conjecture. Do you seek wisdom? I sat alone in my room and the masked man came. What do you want? I know of all the conspiracy theories on the interweb, how the world is run by child-murdering, blood-drinking Satan worshippers, and when they say the economy is crumbling, they mean progress. Do you still seek wisdom? The man bribed me with a golden ring. I made a toast for the future. You pace up and down the driveway talking on the phone. A is there too, running in circles and digging in the soil underneath the rose bush. Beneath a slender jasmine vine, the cat is asleep. There is the faint drip of water from within the house. The same vine, climbing up the guava tree, peeks inside the house, sees nothing. Do you still seek wisdom? In a box, a pair of handcuffs clink. The delivery boy leaves it at the doorstep. Do you still? At the edge of the rock, the river below became visible, and on its surface, the sun of the valley floated. In Zuko, I feared for my life. I watched the valley disappear along the bend of the river, and my friend leading the way. I see an army of men marching down into the meadow. In the river, a snake. A wolf waits at the other bank. Wisdom seekers. The man pulls out a whistle. A cock crows before he plays a tune familiar as a few. I see the doom that awaits us. A plays under the coconut tree, and you hear a creak. Without looking up, he runs into your arms. Before the front hits the ground, a car drives in, and your kin arrive just in time. Many worlds collapse into the one that you inhabit, and you still seek wisdom. The wolf has the serpent in its mouth. The cock crows once more as the frond finally falls on a head. The sun is put out. The waters rise. A sneeze, a death, a lot of death. In the end, I sit by the sea, sunrise and sunset and fish in the water, birds in the blue sky. Only the good survive, and you are home. Thank you.
Thank you, Roshan. Wonderful. Now it's again my turn. The historians. Warm Tibetan prayer flags wilt at 12 noon. The sun is mildly out of tune, like a weak trumpet in an opera. A few shops still sell local Roxy liquor, and the loud scent of December swallows up the sleepy mist and the redness of geranium saplings on wooden tubs in Delo Hill in Kalimpong. Walking along the jagged cliff like a local guide without a job during quarantine, I stroll and I do not look back on anything. The track is deeply freckled with deafening silence of the lonely pine trees, and still uphill, the old solitary monastery on the cliff indifferently looks at me, and I look at it hard. Our eyes lock like fellow historians, now retired. I knock at its ornate sandalwood door. Sandalwood essentially knows how to engage stars, the universe, and all metaphors of a yellow afternoon old on a hilltop. The scented heavy door I have always smelled on my palms for long is now closed. Nobody lives there anymore. Thank you.
So as I said, as verse warriors, we are fighting two wars. One against the world, one internally. And if you're doing that internally, it means loving yourself every day, owning yourself every day, and deciding that what you do is your own decision, and then you completely love it. You're like, okay, fine, I'm doing great and it's going to be fine. You pick up yourself as you go along, and that takes a lot of effort. So my second poem, my first was from Death in the Holy Month, and my second poem is from Germination. I'm reading the title poem. It talks about the tree in my garden that I associate with, and how I'm trying to own my own body, and as the tree is owning its. Germination. 1. I soak a pomegranate seed overnight, pour blessed water and some sadness over it. A bad seed will be fruitless. The origin of loneliness is imbibed in the mole around my vagina. Yawning into the day, hawk moth brought rain isotopes required for germination of isolation. What do I germinate into? What comes out of my vagina? 1 part compost, 2 parts cocoa peat, 3 parts sand, 4 parts soil, and 2 hands to knead my body and plant some roses. I prefer procreation of a garden than a bloodline. 2, in the compost of log days, things germinate into neglected spaces. The perfect weather for imbibition of a future, it's still invisible. Melon seeds sprout and dry out in my mouth, craving a beginning. I break the moss rose stems and insert them in thick, muddy evenings. It is a process of curing anything, trying to recuperate from a trauma. 3, if it's too damp, the suspended seedlings between life and death won't last the night. Untend your care to the ones you want to take root deep inside you. The distress in the veins of the trees consumed by fear will find the dry air of your consciousness. Slowly you will see, some will frizzle back to the soil, some will shoot up your spine with support, and some will shade your hand.